Alright guys, here's our video for tonight. The equivalent ratio problem solving. Our target practice for today is students can use tape diagrams to find equivalent ratios in real world problems. Make sure you write that down. If you need more time, go ahead and pause. Otherwise, I will be moving on to the next slide. In example 1, we're going to be finding a quantity using more or less than. So here's our problem. Make sure you write this problem down. I know it's long, but make sure you write it down. The ratio of the number of people who own a smartphone to the number of people who own a flip phone is 5 to 3. If 500 more people own a smartphone than a flip phone, how many people own each type of phone? Okay, so to solve this problem, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a tape diagram for each part. So I have my smartphone and my flip phone. For my smartphone, I'm going to make it 5 sections long. And for my flip phone, I'm going to make it 3 sections long. Now this one's a little bit more difficult because the 500 is a more than problem. So what I'm going to do in step 1 is figure out how many more I have in my smartphone flip phone than my regular flip phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to circle here and say, okay, look, I have 2 more. So I have 2 more for my smartphone than my flip phone. All right? And the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my number for my problem, the 500, and I'm going to divide it by that more than number. So I'm going to take 500 and divide it by 2. That's going to give me 250. And that number right here, that is my section number. So now I can put 250, this can be hard to write in here, 250 in each section. Okay, and then I can do my math to figure it out. I have 5 sections of 250, so I do 250 times 5, and that's 1,250. And then I do 3 sections of 250, and that's 750. Okay, so my answer is my smartphones. I have 1,250 smartphones, and I have 750 flip phones. If you want to verify your work, you can subtract those. 1,250 minus 750 is 500, and you can see that I have 500 more smartphones than flip phones. Okay, so this one's a little bit different in that the 500 isn't one of the 2 numbers. I actually have to do one step first and figure out that more than first, and then I can do the same process to find my answers for each one. If you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm moving on to my next slide. Alright, in example 2, now we're going to find a quantity using a total amount. So this is going to be similar to the one I just did. Sammy and David were selling water bottles to raise money for new football uniforms. Sammy sold 5 water bottles for every 3 water bottles David sold. Together, they sold 160 water bottles. How many did each boy sell? Okay, so I'm going to start off with the same thing. So for Sammy, I'm going to make a tape diagram that's 5 sections long. And then for David, I'm going to make a tape diagram that's 3 sections long. Okay, now in this one, I know what the together number is. So I'm actually going to make a third tape diagram that is the 2 of them combined. So 5 plus 3 is 8. So I'm going to make it 8 sections long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections long. That's going to be my total. Why did I do that? Because I know that my total equals 160. So remember, all the sections are the same no matter what tape diagrams I have. So what I can do now is just like the other day, I can do 160 divided by 8, my total amount, and that gives me 20. So I know that each section is worth 20. So I can make them all worth 20, even my total amount. So each section is worth 20 here. Now when I do my math, I have 5 sections here. 5 times 20 is 100. In this section, I have 3. 3 times 20 is 60. So Sammy sold 100 bottles, and David sold 60 bottles. Again, if you want to check your work, this one's what they have together, so add them together, and that's 160. So if you want to check, you could. If you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to my next slide. In my next slide, we're going to be finding a quantity when there's a change in the ratio. So if you look at the problem, it's very long. I'm not going to read through it. Okay? But we have 2 ratios. We have a 2 to 5 and a 6 to 1 ratio here. Okay? Now when I look at this, it's Saturday night, is the first one, and that ratio is occupied to unoccupied. And then the second one is Sunday, again, occupied to unoccupied. So what I'm going to do for this one, guys, is I'm going to make a tape diagram for each set of ratios. So first I'm going to start with Saturday night, and I'm going to make that 2 to 5. Okay, so that's occupied to unoccupied. Then I'm going to do that for Sunday. Sunday's a different ratio. My occupied is 6 to my unoccupied is 1. Okay, now I'm going to look at my information and read my question. If the Business District Hotel has 432 occupied rooms on Sunday, so I know occupied, Sunday, and occupied is 432. That's the amount I know, so now I can use this to find my answer. So the first thing I'm going to do is 432 divided by the 6 units. That comes out to 72. So that means this is 72 here. I also know that is 72, so 72 times 1 is 72. Now how do I use this information to find my Saturday night? Well, if you look at the total, okay, the total of this number is 7. The total of this number is 6 plus 1, which is also 7. Because they have the same total, I can use that same 72 for each section in here. So these, because they have the same amount, both have 7 sections, each section is 72. So now I can find my answer. I can do 72 times 4 for this one, and that's going to be 144. I can do 72 times 5 for the unoccupied, and that's 360. So now I have all my numbers. Let's answer the question. How many unoccupied rooms do they have on Saturday night? So I go to Saturday, unoccupied, and my answer is 360. So I have 360 unoccupied rooms. Okay, so the process is the same for all of them. I have to take that section number, I take the amount divided by the section number. Once I figure out my section number, what each individual one is, I can use that to find my problem, no matter how many tape diagrams I have. Okay, if you need to rewatch anything, go ahead. Otherwise, have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow.
Mr. Gasson?